I'm knitting a wool hat dyed with indigo and trimmed with Angora rabbit fur.
A good friend of ours showed us how to knit during a winter. She was staying with us for a few weeks.
I do my own dyeing, yeah, by degrees.
Pardon?
Dyeing by degrees. I just learned how to make a indigo dye pot. I've had great fun with it.
During the winter, when we're usually inside, that's what we did. We would listen to music and have conversations and have tea. We weren't even hungry because we were so focused on the knitting, on the music, or the conversation. That's all we wanted to do was knit. We didn't want to leave the house.
That's another interest I have is in some of the traditional Maine patterns to adapt them for hats. The wrister keeps your wrist warm. They're like the cuffs of mittens without the mitten, and fishermen used them because they often would have to take their mittens off in the wintertime. We find them very useful to really keep your hands warm in the wintertime.
This pattern came from a design that my wife found is for a poncho. This pattern I have to pay close attention to because I don't want to forget the yarn over. It's knit one, yarn over, and then knit two. I make them for either my wife or a friend, but I've never made a scarf for myself. The only thing I've made for myself is this hat here, and this was my first hat, and I considered it a failure.
Then I thought about, we need a new hammock. Just thought maybe I'd like a new project and try something new and different. And there was this one about knitting a hammock with shovel handles or billiard cues. Thought, well, that might be fun to try. Not have something to show for it. I went to the local pool hall and talked the man out of a couple of twisted billiard cues, and just yesterday sharpened up the points, made the needles, and started this hammock. Discovered that it's a much more of a workout than knitting with thread and small needles.
Knitting in public is sometimes kind of a show. We would knit at the bar, and people would come in and ask, what we were knitting. And when people see me knit out in public, I get strange looks. I wasn't sure what I was making. Something big. My wife said she could use it as a skirt. It's very much like meditation, where it's something that's repetitive. Tai Chi, there's a lot of focusing on the breath, and I was thinking about incorporating a Tai Chi into knitting, but it's just way too slow. I think I'd be very distracted. When you're drumming something over and over, it creates a space to think about other things. So in that way, I get to deal, with what's going on in my head, for better or worse.
As my fingers count and caress each stitch, they become a heartbeat, a safeguard, and a rhythm of comfort. Row after row, I am lulled into meditation, my journey guided by the rhythm of the needles, the rhythm of the loom, the rhythm of the spinning wheel. Each inch of fabric is my testimony. Stitch by stitch, I incorporate my soul into the fabric. I join a long strand of humanity whose story is told through the textiles of time. The ancients who braided precious fibers into their hair, early Egyptian weavers whose delicate linen wrappings secured the final journey of the pharaohs, the earliest mariners whose purposeful knots now add beauty to my sweaters. Past to future generations, my stitches of life will endure.